Morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. Matt the Awakening Angler. I'm sitting in my truck. It's 9:17 Sunday morning. So Courtney and I went up to the St. Lawrence River yesterday, up to Cape Vincent in the afternoon. I fished the night of yesterday morning, did the morning report, loaded the boat on the trailer, and then we took off about 1 o'clock. Went up, launched the boat. My plan was to fish for smallmouth until 6, 7 o'clock before the sun went down, and then go over and fish for walleyes with a friend of mine and of the channel, Terry Wicks, and his wife Rita. They went by us, gave me the wave. We went over. There was probably, I would say there was 8 or 10 boats in this drift. I wish we'd have got there a touch earlier, because those walleyes were biting as soon as we got there. It didn't last long, 2 hours maybe. And between Courtney and I, we had 3 fish on. She landed one that was 25 1/4 inches, 6.7 pounds. Her PB, personal best. That's her personal record. And the first time I've caught a walleye in the St. Lawrence River since I was a kid, probably in high school back in the mid to late 80s. I haven't went up there and jigged for them in a long, long time. I've talked about it my whole life since then. And it's one of those great memories. My grandpa and I used to do it in my boat, which was his at the time. Later on in the season, end of this month and early October, all the way through Halloween. And the biggest walleye I've ever seen came from over there. And it was 31 inches and change. We measured it because Gramp never even had a scale. I never weighed a fish until I started fishing for hire, Lake Ontario and Salmon River. So, super exciting. We had a good day yesterday going up there blind in the afternoon. Courtney, I did not. My lovely wife laid a smackdown on me and the fish yesterday. She had 2 smallmouth, one real nice one, pushing 4 pounds, a big sheep's head, and that walleye. She had another walleye on, and she got broke off. She got broke off on 12-pound fluorocarbon by something when we were bass fishing. My guess is it'd be a walleye because, that's where we were bass fishing and where we were walleye fishing. There was a lot of room between it because we were up on, 18 to 25 feet, and then it went just like this right off this structure. Went down, it bottomed out as much as 75, and then it came back up on a shoal, and then it dropped almost straight off into the shipping channel. And so where we were bass fishing, anything could have been there. Anything could have slid in on that edge looking for food. Anything. So my wife had a great day. I had a great day watching her have a great day. She was so excited when she got that walleye in the net when I scooped it. I've never really seen even more so than that big smallmouth she got last year. She was really excited about this. So we fished till about 9:30, I think. Went over, loaded the boat on the trailer, and then drove home. About an hour and a half back to where we live from Cape Vincent. And so by the time we got home and in bed and yada, 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 it was probably pushing midnight. So my boat's in the driveway. The whole ride home, I said to Courtney, I have no idea where I'm going tomorrow. You can never get a decent weather report or wind report, no matter how many different apps you look at and places and whatnot. So I said, well, I don't know what I'm doing in the morning. I kissed her goodnight, and I woke up this morning at 4:07, 4:06 I think it was. My eyes opened up and I looked over at the clock and I said, well, if you want to be somewhere by daylight, you got to get moving. And I did. I got up and I got moving. I lost all of the drop shot weights I had left yesterday, and so I had to stop in Pulaski and make a pit stop. I pulled into Fat Nancy's. They had one pack of these really monstrous drop shot weights. I don't know if I'll use them or not, but I bought them because it's all they had. I slid back over to All Season Sports, and he didn't have much either. It's not the right time for those guys to have bass stuff in there. You know, everything is salmon season now, so they had one pack. I bought them, and off I went. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go north. I'm already in Pulaski. I said, because I was going to go to Mexico, over to Mexico Point, fish down in the corner and look for rock piles and fish smallies down in there. And then I was gonna go, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll go over to Oswego. But now when I was in Pulaski at 5:30, 5:45 this morning, give or take, there was hardly any breeze, hardly any. I get off 81 at Adams and start coming across, and I can feel it in the truck. I can hear it, but it's coming. It's offshore, not onshore. So I'm like, no big deal. Let it blow. So I go up to the ramp in Henderson Harbor, the public ramp, and it's howling. It's white right in front of the ramp. It's coming right across Henderson Harbor. It looks like it's east-northeast. The leaves are all upside down, showing their bellies, and it's howling. I'm like, well, I can't go here because I would have had to go right into it to go out and around where I really wanted to go. Over towards Association and Calf and over that way. So I said, well, okay, I'll swing around the isthmus here of what the land feature is up here, and I'll go over to Stony Creek, and I'll launch at Stony Creek, and I'll go out that way. And I checked it before I went through putting the boat in the water. I drove over along the edge of the bay on that road, and I looked, and it looked fine. It should have looked fine. The wind was offshore. Okay, great. So I get over here to Stony Point. There's a boat going out. It's super low. I'm like, I'm hesitant, but I said, you know, I'm up. I've spent all the time and money and gas getting up here. I'm going fishing. I'm going fishing. So, slide the boat off the trailer. This boat and trailer was never meant to. I say this stuff all the time. I love my boat. I am so happy to have it back. It's really not the most mobile boat in the world. It's a big single axle trailer. It sits way up high. It catches a lot of wind. My Grant bought that trailer only to store this boat on, because when he bought the boat in 81, there was no trailer. He bought it from somebody that lived down Lake Ontario, and they kept it in a slip, and then the marina pulled it. So he bought this. It's a beautiful Calkins trailer. It's a great trailer. It's just a big single axle, and there are 18-inch rims and tires on there too, so it sits high. Anyway, but my Grant was never going to tow the boat and go anyplace else and go fishing. Matter of fact, at the end of his life, you know, when he was still up to Cape Vincent, he never even had a truck, period. Like, he had a car. So he was never trailering this boat. I've trailered it more in the last 2 seasons than it ever was, and it's okay. It's not the easiest boat to load and unload. Certainly not alone, but I did it today. You know, I've done it before. I'll do it again. Maybe tomorrow if this weather straightens out. You guys know me. I talk about positivity. I talk about the vibe. I talk about, you know, and I believe that stuff. I'm going to tell you, when I got up here and I got to Henderson this morning, I had grand visions of giant smallmouth leaping to and fro on the end of my line, and I knew where I wanted to go. And as soon as I got up here, I realized that wasn't going to happen, and I got disappointed. That's a key flaw right there. So I did it anyway. I went and I did go out there. I ended up going out and fished Drown Island, which is the only thing I could legitimately fish. And even that, I didn't do it very well. I fished for about an hour or so, maybe. Even with every drift bag I owned out, I couldn't get under a mile an hour. Just wasn't happening. I picked up and I started to run north. I was going to go try and hug the shoreline, the backside, and get in the backside of Association Island. And I'm sure I could have, but boy, I was taking a pounding. That wind and that short, choppy wave. I was only about half a mile offshore. Boom, 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 boom. And my boat's a rough boat to begin with. I've said it before, and I was just like, you know what? And I went right back up into Stony, and I just slid the boat back on the trailer. Like I say, it's 9:30 in the morning. The only other option, when you think about this, if you're trailering, you think, okay, I got to play the wind. I got to go where the wind is coming offshore, and I'll be protected. I suppose I could have went down to Godfrey or Sylvan or Lewis Point or down that way and stayed on our lake and fished that down at the east end, and it would have been really windy, but it wouldn't have been rough, and I would have been okay. And I could have went down there and poked around and probably met up with some people, and it would have been great. And in hindsight, I probably should have did it. I got all jazzed up from yesterday. I was a little bummed because I didn't catch anything myself, but on the same hand, I thoroughly enjoyed watching my wife. She didn't tune them by any means. I mean, she caught 4 fish in 5 hours, and I had 1 fish on, and so it wasn't hot and heavy. But all that little bit of bummed out yesterday did to me, and last night driving home and this morning getting up, was just pour gas on my fire. Just poured gas on my fire, and I was, come hell or high water this morning, I was going somewhere and doing something. It backfired on me because of this weather, and I didn't pick the right spot. You live and learn. Fishing's fishing is what it is. I get upset with myself sometimes if I don't make what I believe are good decisions. And it was a nice morning. I saw a ton of deer on the ride up here. I got out in that beautiful green water of Lake Ontario. I had lines in the water. I could have caught something. Everything could have been great. It didn't turn out that way, but what's the old saying? Got to keep your tip up. Stuff goes wrong. You hit a skid, you got a little black ice in the road. You got to keep your tip up, and you got to move forward, and you got to regroup, and you got to move forward in the best way you know how. That for me right now is putting the boat back on the trailer, calling it a day, regrouping. I got to clean stuff. I have tackle everywhere. In the boat, out of the boat, last night, bugs. I need to clean up. I need to regroup so I have a sense of organization and everything's not chaos around me, because then I get chaotic and my thought process, or my fishing thought process gets chaotic. And once that happens, I'm in a sinking ship, for me personally. So I'm not a neat freak or OCD, but what I am is I have to have things in a certain place. So I know where they are, and I don't always say that, and I don't always do that, but it's gotten to the point now between my garage and now my boat again, because this boat came back Thursday night out of the blue. I wasn't prepared. I had a whole different set of plans for this weekend, and this wasn't it. I'm stoked, but I got to regroup a little bit today and go do something fun and relax. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. I hope everybody's got tomorrow off. I hope everybody's enjoying their long weekend. And good. And I hope you have a great day. So remember, no matter what, I don't care if the wind blows. I don't care if the lake's too rough. You have to go forward in a good and positive manner. And the way you do that is you keep your tip up. I need to keep this up here. I need it. I'm going to have to go and really tune something up here pretty quick. I need to set the hook. Keep your tip up, everybody. Thank you.